I'm continuing with my unusual setup here in the outdoors. It's still quieter than being inside with the kids. We'll see how this goes. About a decade ago, I started hankering for a top handle that was also a battery. It just seemed like the right place to put it, making use of a fairly sizable part of the rig that was also going to keep the wires out of the way. The more I thought about it, the bigger I wanted the battery to be and the more powerful the outlets, moving from a USB to DC ports. And a few years later, Soonwell released their PH70, and I thought, that's big and overpriced and kind of over-engineered. I mean, 2 D-taps, 2 DC ports, and a USB. For a large rig setup, maybe, but with 2 D-taps, you're going to run out of juice pretty soon with just 5,000 mAh. I mean, that's roughly a 750 battery. I revisited my fantasy just a couple of weeks ago. The price for the Soonwell had dropped to about $200 at that time, and it was still about $20 worth of battery and $25 worth of handle, leaving about $150 you're spending on just having convenient ports. Just as I was about to give up, I ran across the Ulanzi. You may know them from their budget cage and ball head accessories or their dirt cheap lights. The handle is smaller than the Soonwell, and it feels good in the hand. It's also all metal with a silicone rubber grip. The engineering has been reduced to a DC port, a USB-A, and a USB-C, which is both got in for charging and out for powering devices. It comes in 2 flavors, an RE mount, which I purchased, and a cold shoe mount. It claims 9,600 mAh, which is nearly twice the battery power of the Soonwell. There are indicators for battery life, which is useful. The last LED will start to flash when the remaining charge is 25%. And it has quick charging in the handle itself. 10% to full takes roughly 70 minutes, all for roughly $100. And if you hustle, you may catch the last of the $60 deals on Amazon. The downside, and don't click away yet because there's always a downside, is that it only outputs 8 volts from the DC port. And while it claims 9 volts from the USB-C, I found that it has rather mixed results when powering my monitor that way. It's flawless with the DC ports. Most DC ports will do 12 volts, so it's a little short in that department. But it has no problem powering my Atomos Ninja 5, Ninja 7, or Endoscene monitors, which is its primary purpose here. And it can power my camera simultaneously. The runtime for the monitor alone is roughly 90 minutes. That's less time than I expected, but it goes to show just how quickly that Soonwell would have run out of juice with just 5,000 mAh. Now, to be fair, I don't have the equipment to test the actual capacity of the Ulanzi. I can only say that it was a little less than I expected, given how my other batteries perform. Overall, if you can find it for $60, it's a very good deal. The battery alone is $25, and you'd spend another $35 on a cheap handle with an RE mount, which is what I happen to need at the time. That alone is worth the price of admission, and it's already become one of my favorite accessories for both on the rig and during tripod use. At $100, $110, it's still a good deal. As I said, this has become an essential part of my kit. In fact, after 2 times in the field, I went out and purchased a second handle so that I would have one for both my A and B camera or a backup when it ran out of juice. I bought the RE attachment because I don't like using cold shoe adapters for a variety of reasons. But the RE has proven to be one of the few downsides that I need to fix. I use NATO rails for attachments, and that's not RE. The RE pins are removable, but the metal is so smooth that it's hard to maintain a good solid grip, and the handle loosens with use over time and needs to be tightened down frequently. It's a minor nuisance, but a nuisance nonetheless. As long as you're not committed to having D-tap outlets, the Ulanzi is really a great handle. D-tap isn't especially useful on a rig. I mean, most of the devices that you're going to be powering are going to be USB-C or DC. And the Ulanzi is inexpensive relative to V-mount batteries with D-tap. Cheap D-tap mount battery of this capacity is likely to run you $100 too, and may require a separate charger. So, if your hankering has included a battery top handle, I'd give this a thumbs up.